Good evening, everyone. Today is January 20th. This is podcast number 17. We are one away from tying our record of last year of 18. I just checked it today before we stopped. So we are almost there. Today we have Illini Esports. With us is the president of Illini Esports, AJ Taylor. Go ahead and say hello, AJ.
Howdy, y'all.
With me also is, as always, unless something is on fire, Coach Kennedy from Glenwood High School.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm lucky nothing's on fire today. I wasn't sure which way today was going to go. It was nice.
I only forgot it was Wednesday for a little bit.
Yeah, until like 20 minutes ago when I messaged you and you're like, oh yeah, that's nice.
And I'm still here.
You are. Very happy. So yeah, today we're just gonna talk with AJ and try to let him explain what Illini Esports is. We have a lot of colleges on here, and I know we have a lot of students that end up going to U of I down in Champaign. So we wanted to make sure that we gave them opportunity to tell us how things work there. Because I know definitely a lot of people are looking and are interested in going to that school. But then again, it also some kids are looking at other schools because you guys aren't a varsity program yet. But
right.
I'll let you explain that if you want to give your little spiel about how esports works at U of I, so kids can kind of get a thing. And if you have questions, guys, go ahead and throw them in chat or feel free to ask them whatever, and we will ask them when we need to, and then we'll fill in the blanks from there. So go ahead.
Yeah, so for our program right now, as you mentioned, it's not of a varsity status. It is definitely still a club and organization. We've been running this for about 5 years, going on now 6 years. And the wide variety of the growth that we've seen, at least from the program, has been astounding. If you came 4 years ago, we would have been very small, maybe a couple hundred, basically, not a very large program. I don't even think that we had a Discord, for example. Now, in this past year to year and a half, we've gotten partnered with HyperX, for example. Nice little logos. We've also gotten partnered with Red Bull, for example. We've also gotten several sponsors, such as Simplified Computers, as well as an old alumni has also donated and kind of talked with us. Myers Leonard, the Hammer, he now plays for the Miami Heat. And then for us as well, we've also kind of been able to work with several academic departments to be able to garner a temporary space for the time being. It's a rentable space that is typically used as a VR lab, but also as a space for classes to come in and use these amazing decked out computers. But at the same time, in the late afternoons, we are able to use that space as a practice space. And so it's all decked out with HyperX gear, from headsets to nice keyboards, mice, mouse pads, whatever that we need there, as well as about $1,500 worth of setups. There's about 7 different $1,500 setups that are there, as well as a VR lab for our VR esports. And currently, we also have a partner Discord, a Discord that is over 3,000 members overall. We are competing in almost every single major esports games. We have about 13 games that we compete in, and each game has around 2 to 3 different teams, just dependingly. Some games are split up, like Rocket League, this is 3 persons, so we have, I think, like 4 or 5 Rocket League teams per se, whereas for like League of Legends, we only have 2 teams, the orange and the blue team, as kind of a main academy or a varsity. So that's kind of how the program is at least run right now. We're always in talk with administration. We're always trying to see what is the best foot forward that we can get, and it wasn't until at least this past, like I said, year and a half that we've really seen exponential growth in Illini Esports, and we can hope to continue that until we get to at least a varsity status in some way, shape, or form. So
that's awesome. I'm trying to remember, didn't U of I a couple years back try to completely rebrand as something else before? Wasn't there talk about going varsity, and then you guys decided to go against it because of the ability to get sponsors and things like that outside of being a program at the school? That might have been like 3 or 4 years ago.
Not that I currently know of. I've only been, I'm a graduate student, and so for me, I've only been with the university for the past about 4 to 5 years, basically. And I only joined Illini Esports after my first year of being here on campus. And so some of the history I may or may not have known of, because I was only coaching as a League of Legends coach for that matter. It's only recently that I've really kind of tried to ingrain myself as the president, at least for this past year, and really try to learn some of the history of what's going on. That being said, there has been multiple times that we worked with either athletics or the administration. For example, they sent our Rocket League team out to a tournament last year, I think around not 2020 March, but 2019 March, before the pandemic hit. They sent our Rocket League team out to, I think, New York or somewhere else to that matter, to compete in a tournament. They paid for that. They helped us out with that aspect, and that was a cool part. And then as the pandemic hit, we kind of heard crickets chirping, basically. There's been a lot of things that have hit in several academic departments, and a lot of them are either saving money or trying to, figure out their own stuff first before they start kind of expanding and branching. And unfortunately, we're kind of on that back burner as of right now. So
that's esports in a lot of places. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've seen like across the board. Is a lot of schools, had everything not happened, they would be already like 10 levels deeper on esports, and so now they're slowly starting to get started now this year, and for the most part, season's already started. Like we're almost at the end of our start of our last season, so it's good to get them a head start for next year. But then again, like some of the kids like seniors this year kind of miss out. So
the IHSA also put esports in the back burner as well for the state, because you guys are actually talking place week to this. You guys are getting kind of close to something, at least something, right. And then everything kind of stopped, and here we are.
Yeah, that was kind of the way that we saw it as well, is that we've had several administration that have been interested or I would say tickled by the idea of esports necessarily, but it becomes very difficult overall for our aspect, because as soon as we start saying, okay, well, you guys want to work with us, here are some ideas and goals that we have set up in mind for either a 1 year, 5 year, or 10-year plan, and then they go, oh, we didn't think about that for esports. And it was like, well, I don't know what to tell you then. Yeah. So it just, it happens. Everybody has their own different ideas. We've been hearing talks that the union, our main building at the University of Illinois, we're kind of like, I would say, a conglomeration of people go to. They have like Starbucks and stuff like that there. There's talk that they might be getting rid of a bowling alley, and the bowling alley that's there, and they might be setting up an esports lounge necessarily. Whether or not that's true, I can or cannot confirm, and we may or may not have been asked to advise for certain aspects, but when that's going to happen is probably, hopefully, long after I graduate. So.
Oh, you don't have to worry about it.
Because imagine that large of a thing is always fun.
Yeah.
When we got our lab, because I basically, my first year we ran, and then I'm like, okay, can I get a lab? And they went, sure. And that was all I asked. And then I walked in first day of school, my second year, and it's like, okay, here, set up these 15 computers. You have 2 class periods to do it. What? and I loathe now that I have to, after all this finishes, I have to go back and update all those computers.
Yeah, we've talked several times that between my job and what we call the director of operations, another person that's a volunteer, at least right now, you could literally hire 2 people for $50,000, if not more, a year to do all of this stuff, because it's so hard to keep track of what's going on in our competitive scene, what's going on in the community scene, what's going on necessarily in terms of administration, if we're running any panels, if we're running any tournaments, if we're talking with classes, if we're doing podcasts, anything that's basically outside or extra. Like, I mean, esports is definitely a fit of passion, and a blood, sweat, and tears have definitely gone into it, not just for myself, but everybody in esports in general. But it definitely is it's a hard aspect, no matter what it comes down to. So
it seems that pretty much everyone I've talked to in collegiate esports is in some way wearing like 6 hats.
Yes.
Like there's like virtually no one out there who works collegiate esports who's not just doing 10 billion things.
Yeah. And under every single one of those hats is like a mini hat, you would say, as well. And then like the other hats can fit on top of the other. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And real life is nowhere to be seen in that bracket of hats. That's still outside of that. Yeah.
Like there's coaches who brag on Twitter, oh yeah, I was in the office at 3 a.m. this morning. You were what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
Trust me, I know that struggle. It's kind of it is ridiculous, and I always try to say when I'm talking to high school coaches or administrators, I'm like, well, we want to pay our coaches, and so what do you think is I was like, okay, well, what do you pay your athletic director? Because they're essentially going to be athletic directors running 6 to 7 to possibly 15 teams, depending on how many tournaments they get into. So
Well, I've seen positions that they want to have a coach, and they want that coach to coach for Overwatch and League of Legends and Rocket League and CS:GO, and it continues. And I'm like, dude, you could just pay one person to coach just one. Like, you can't have a basketball coach also coach football. Like, I mean, you could try.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard to do.
And
so.
that's how I phrase it to my admin too. Is like we're a 6-game team,
Yep.
and I'm solo coaching it, and I always phrase it as like I'm coaching basketball, baseball, soccer, and football at the same time.
Right.
And I have to stay relevant in all of them.
Yep.
And I also teach.
Right.
What do you want from me?
I mean, luckily, never mind. I'll be nice.
I mean, I love that recently we got tagged in some Twitter posts of like, we need to reopen state sports now. And I'm like, I've been playing since August. I feel like I shouldn't be saying that though.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're online, and that's the glory of esports. Even in the age of COVID, like, while we're not perfectly in the same condition,
right,
it's pretty darn close.
Yeah, that's one hard aspect, at least for us, is that we do have a lot of international students, and so we do have a lot of people. Like 3 of my coordinators are in China right now, because that's just where it is. And so I'll get Discord messages at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., somewhere in that time frame, because for them it's late in the afternoon to in the night. Basically, they've done their classes there, or like if we need to meet with our admin, like I have a meeting that we're setting up for sometime 7 p.m. Basically, that's 8 a.m. for their time during classes or whatever else that they may be doing. So it's really a difficult balance between those, or at least for right now. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't COVID, they would be here. But when they go back home, it's always hard to talk.
God, it must be super hard with international students that they're players for you guys.
Yes,
because that ping is not sustainable.
Yeah.
There was actually a player for Cloud9 Korea who played in a tournament for Cloud9 North America recently on 190 ping.
Oh wow!
And they still took second in the tournament.
It's not bad, honestly. You take what you can get.
Yeah. Yeah,
but one of the biggest challenges I wanted to ask about with programs for like as large as yours is delegating tasks. How do you determine what to delegate? Do you keep your hands off literally everything besides overall management, or how would you accurately describe what your role actually is?
Right. So unfortunately, a lot of the presidents before me, and I can understand why, did not delegate well, if at all any. So right now we have around a 60 to 65 person administration, and that's differences between competitive and community. We have moderators, we have graphic artists, we have broadcasting people, we have shoutcasters, we have people that work on event logistics, tournament information, et cetera, right? So typically, I don't like to micromanage. I like, it's kind of the idea, like you signed up for this job, job volunteering, for this position, basically, like do your job. If you need me to ever check over anything or look at anything, I'm going to do so. But otherwise, like, I'll send there. And I've realized I need to, it's been really hard because, again, as a PhD student and also doing things, you realize when you get into it as a president, there's just so many things that only you can do necessarily. Only you can reply to certain emails because sponsors or people only care about you. They only want one contact. Only you can, handle big picture stuff with the administration because they don't want to talk to the vice president of communication. They want to talk to the head honcho, the person that knows what's going on. At the same time, I was saying before we had even started, I get so many questions about Overwatch and League of Legends and Rocket League and all these other different things, and I don't know what's going on with my teams necessarily, my players, my teams, because it's just so hard to keep track of every single aspect. So for me, at least, we have an admin Discord, and every single channel is set up in different categories for each one of the positions, or at least categories of positions.
You have a Discord for just admins?
Yes, we have a Discord straight up just for the admins because it is very easy to keep everything, I would say, concentrated and filed away. Like, for example, we talk a lot about, like, I'll get emails from tournaments, like tournaments coming up, Twitter messages, etc. So I have a channel that's just tournament information where I post the tournaments that are coming up that have sent me messages, and I will whatever our competitive coordinator is or the coach for that necessarily, and then just send it on the information. We also have stuff for moderation teams, like I said before. So we got like there's just channels, just admin Discord channels, straight up just for looking over the Discord itself. So
Hui.
yeah,
That is
Yeah, I've thought about doing that with our group, but we're not that big yet.
right.
I think we're sitting around like 1,300 in our Discord right now, but luckily I delegate very well, and I trust all of my staff to be able to handle their tasks. And like you said, if they need help with something, I'm there for them. Or if they don't do something, I'll politely message them and let them know, hey,
Right.
what's going on?
politely.
It is
Politely,
polite.
he says.
It's
You're
polite.
pretty blunt with me sometimes.
That's because we have a different relationship, Keith.
Right. Yeah, there's some people that it's like you can be a straight up jerk to, quote unquote, and then other people you have to word everything just ever so carefully. I understand that.
We have one staff member, Terp, who I love dearly because he's the guy who reads over all of our public postings. He's the guy who's like our editor for literally every large public message ever.
It's like, hey, I need this to be formal. Can you look over this? And he sends it back to me, and it's like all changed. And I'm like, wow, yours sounds so much better. Thank you.
I did the same for my Valorant message. I'm like, okay, I plan to send this. 2 minutes later, edited copy. It's so much better.
Yeah.
But like with staffing, how do you like for you locating staff or coaches or whatever? Do they just come to you, or do you hunt them down, or how's that work for you?
Yeah, so it's kind of a half and half. So right now, what we have is the way it's set up is we have a vice president of communication, or sorry, a vice president of competitive and a vice president of community, and different staff positions or volunteer positions fall under that. So the vice president of competitive is the one that is in charge of talking with all of our competitive coordinators, and each competitive coordinator is assumingly a team manager. They can be a coach, not all the time. So, for example, we have one person that is the person, like I said, that's in China. She's our Valorant competitive coordinator. She's not a coach for the team. She loves Valorant. She's amazing at the game. She's like platinum level, much better than me at bronze right now for Valorant. But she basically kind of just manages. She sets up the scrims, finds the tournaments, manages that little Discord for that if need be, whatever it comes to bound to be. She's not the coach. Whereas then for our League of Legends, the League of Legends competitive coordinator is the coach for the team, so it just kind of depends. Then for the community side, we have community coordinators for each one of the games as well, and they're in charge of having like trivia nights or hosting tournaments or keeping keeping those Discord channels active or whatever else the matter. And people will what we'll do at the end of the year and at the beginning of the year is we'll have a Google form go out for positions that we know that need to be filled, unless we are unsatisfied with some of these, they're leaving, they don't want to do it anymore, whatever it comes to be, then we'll fill those positions as need be, and we'll go through an interview process with either the VP of community, if it's for that position, or the VP of competitive for that position, and myself. So for all of the coaches and the like from there, they're all determined by the competitive coordinators, unless, again, like I said, that the competitive coordinator is the coach. And then we're met with the VP of competitive, and then vice versa. We meet with the community coordinators, and then they go through. Everything else goes through. We have a director of operations, like I said before, and she pretty much handles broadcasting, sponsorships, outreach, etc. And again, they all meet with me and her for interviewing for those positions. So
that is a hell of an operation.
Yeah, I think like just listening to that, it's like you literally are running your own business with like zero, not zero budget, but very little budget and no pay, and all of these people who are putting their time and effort into it.
Hey, your overhead's cheap because you're not going to pay your labor.
Yeah, it's true. But you can't force people to do anything. If they don't do something, you can't just be like, oh,
the implications.
It's true. But yeah, no, I think one of our first presidents, if I remember correctly, was a business major, and so he established all the direct communications and who was going to talk to who was going to report to who, what were the different roles that we needed, and we've kind of expanded or kind of again kept those things as classic as possible. So
yeah, and I think that to a smaller degree is what I'm trying to do in like my high school that I'm coaching at right now. Because we do have a decent amount of students there now, so we can delegate some labor and things like that. And before this, they kind of had a president, and they were mostly student run.
Right.
But it only goes so far, and the student was a League of Legends player or no Smash player, who's a Smash player. So Smash was going crazy, but everything else kind of fell by the wayside. So trying to get that equity across all games, and they just need a little direction and have like a system set up. And once you get that system set up, like you said, they've been going for like 6 years now. They've been able to refine it and add things where they've needed to. And I think that's to hear a student club that's run like yours that is so big, and it's actually so popular, and it's actually being successful, especially like League of Legends. You guys have been in the national championship now, like, 2 years in a row.
Oh my gosh, probably 4 if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So
I think almost every year that like Topopotamus was there, I believe.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so every since that whole thing, like that structure is something that needs to succeed, and you guys should be going to panels and talking to other colleges that are student run, because there are still a lot out there. But like, even if you weren't student run, like literally pull your president spot out and throw in a paid position as a director, like
right.
it's all already there. You might have to pay a couple more people down the line, but literally they can pull you out, throw in someone paid, and essentially your club would not change.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why we always try to keep our conversations active with the administration in whatever aspect that we can, because we're always afraid that all of a sudden something is going to start up, it's going to sneak under us, and then they're going to undermine. Because I've heard too many horror stories that have happened that an admin just doesn't agree with the esports collective that's there, or the esports club, or whatever it is, and then it's like you have this esports club and you have the official program, and they are butting heads with one another, or whatever else the matter, and it just it's a divisive civil war that you don't want that to happen. So
and it's really cool to see a lot of
it's
really cool to see a lot of universities actually absorb, like, the club system still exists and the competitive side to it,
right.
Because a lot of students do feel kind of left out sometimes, that I'm not good enough for the comp team, but I just want to play with someone.
Right.
And I like seeing a lot more universities adopting that now, and you guys seem to have a really strong system, given you have 3,000 people on that Discord.
Yeah.
So what do, like, the community events look like for you guys? How's the community function? Like, is it just you put out a raid call and see who shows up, or what?
Right. So, like I said, it depends on every single game, because each one of those coordinators, like I said, is responsible for what they want to do. Obviously, like a Hearthstone community is going to look different than League of Legends. But typically what happens is that either every week or every other week, they have like these pickup games, or pugs as we like to call them. And that'll just be, 12 people come in, we're going to play Overwatch, and that's what it is going to be. We're going to play that for 2 hours or something like that. We used to have those a lot for like Among Us, for example, when that was extremely popular. Whereas
that's
then
you make enemies.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's fun because you get to know people, and you get to kind of see cool plays, and everybody loves Disguise Toast and stuff like that. But yeah, so then what it used to be pre-COVID basically was we would do a lot of like meetups, we would do LANs, we would have like themed LANs, like there was an RGB LAN where everything was like, we'd bring in RGB lights, we would get these nice like cool things, we'd get lanyards, we'd get giveaways and stuff like that. We used to have, I know some person used to, for their community, they would always like go out to eat at different places. For those that were able to drink, I remember that there was a bar hop, for example, that they did one year. So like I said, it just kind of depends on each one of the communities. Like we have these overall community aspects that affect all of Illini Esports, and everybody's free to join those things if they want to. Whereas then we also have had a lot of like pickup games or 5v5 tournaments, or we'll get like a 1v1 tournament, for example, like League of Legends. We used to do a 2v2 tournament, if I remember correctly, as well. And they were always like, really fun kind of aspects, or we'd do fireside chats or something like that for Hearthstone. I know that like Valorant used to do like pickup games as well, but they would do also like what's the quick mode, the
Spike Rush.
Spike Rush, thank you. They do like fun Spike Rush, or they do like there was like an Overwatch 3v3 tournament. So yeah, like I said, it kind of depends, but it's the job of the community coordinator to come up with what are going to be either the month, the week, the semester, whatever it is. So
yeah, it's kind of awesome, like to have that wide range of events that are all community led, that are bringing kids together on campus,
right.
And that they vary in what type of event they are. So I think that's really cool that you guys are doing that. How much have you guys seen the community go down or up since you guys have been remote?
It was up at first for, I think, a good portion of the time, like when everything started off in March, because funnily enough, it was basically when we were sent home from spring break, or the week before, they were like, when you go home, take everything because you don't know if you're going to come back or not. And for me as a graduate student, I read that and I was like, they're not coming back. There's no way that this is just going to blow over in like a week or 2 weeks, or anything else that matter. And so when everybody went home and it was during spring break, Illini Esports, we had a huge amount of activity and engagement. And like I said, everybody wanted to play either Fall Guys or they wanted to play Among Us. There was a lot of pickup games and stuff from that. And as time has kind of gone on, less and less people have kind of interacted with that. And we just, part of it is, people get busier in the semester, more things start to pick up. Obviously, there's a lot of, being stuck inside. You're on your screens for Zoom. You're doing your work, on screen. You might want to play games, but you don't want to be engaging necessarily with community. You just want to play with your friends. You want to grind solo queue. You don't want to come into these games all the time. That being said, our Overwatch group, I swear to God, is the most active group I have ever seen in my entire life. I love my Overwatch for something.
What is it about Overwatch? We have the same issue here. We had to put slow mode on the Overwatch chat because they won't stop.
I don't know. It's something about Overwatch, like people, and I'm one of those people. I'm a plat Overwatch player. Like, I love interacting with the Overwatch community, and I'll look at other communities, and some have not like typed a message since like August. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Overwatch kids are great. Like any roster move that has happened, like in the off season, like literally tweet. Like I'm like, this is awesome. Like they're, that's what I want from the league people. And like the league, like there's been like 0 messages except for like this past couple weeks. Because now we've started, ramping up for league. And before that, there was like 0 message. I typed something in like for Worlds even. There's like no messages in there. I'm like, it's Worlds, guys. Let's get a conversation going. But it was kind of it's kind of crazy to see like Overwatch and like in Smash Kids. Like Smash Kids are always like going crazy about something, talking about this and that champion or champion this that character.
League player.
Yes, I'm a league player. And so it's kind of crazy to see those communities kind of develop, and it's nice to see the chat, although sometimes it does get a little crazy. Like I'm in the middle of class and I'm seeing like notifications go off like 300 messages in the past half an hour. Let's go turn slow mode up a little bit just to make sure that
whose roster changed just every single time.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those, it's an amazing prospect. I have no idea. I love Overwatch people. I don't know why it happens. And I agree. I want the same thing for League of Legends and Valorant and stuff like that. And a lot of the times we think it's just, people get burnt out really easily. I mean, when Valorant first started up, everybody loved talking to it. They would post everything from new updates to patch notes to blah, blah, blah. But then, we just, like I said, you just get less and less people, and it happens, unfortunately. We're trying to figure out the best way to handle it. What we're going to be implementing in the next semester is a point system where, depending on your engagement activity, whether that's by talking or texting within the channel, and/or if you come to events like pickup games, like I said before, or something else to matter, you'll be awarded certain points based off of that. That might lead to you getting into a raffle or higher chances of a raffle, and/or you might be able to redeem those points for like getting, sponsorship equipments or whatever else to matter. We have a lot of stuff from like HyperX, for example, like we said, as well as some other old stuff like in jerseys or mouse pads, or we were able to sell these nice like little clickers. I can't think of the words right now, that are just like little fidget things basically that
that's just a little key switch probably.
Right, exactly. And so it's it's a nice little thing that you just have in your hand. You're able to just kind of click it whatever you want.
I mean, like but we can... the pen I'm clicking,
like,
right. That's literally what I'm doing right now.
The little fidget things, yeah.
Yep.
But so like anything, we're thinking of that as kind of a way to see, and we're going to evaluate it over the semester to see how it's going to go, because people obviously, when there's a prize or something else that matters, people are more engaged to it. Obviously, I want to have it be organic, and it's not going to be like spam or something else to matter. But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think like not having those LAN events, having those events like on campus, kind of like, because you always see when you have a LAN event, you see the activity like boom.
Oh yeah.
And then and then it slowly dissipates, and you throw another event, and then it goes up again. It's like that's the way. And with remote, it's like like you said, like me too. Like I want to play games after school, but then after looking at my 3 monitors here for 10 hours of school, and then or 8 hours, 6 hours of school, and then grading after, and then planning for the next day, and it's like, I really don't want to play anything, or at least I want to go look at a big screen that's farther away from my face.
Like,
So.
for me, like, I finish school, I go coach for 2 hours or something like that, because we always do pranks every day for something. And then I kind of just sit there staring at my screen like, what now? I don't know what to do now. I don't feel like doing anything. Can I just go to sleep? Every single day.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see you guys have like this giant program, because it's not often you see student-run programs grow this large and become a sustainable infrastructure. And how are you maintaining its stability beyond just a billion admins? Because I'm assuming you're working with administration somehow?
Yes and no. So we have a student advisor. His name is Jamie Nelson. He works at our Center of Innovation in Teaching and Learning, or what we like to call CITL. It's kind of the place where all of the new, innovative, amazing, wonderful things that come out. So he's got what's called the Tech Hub. It has a small VR lab, 3D printing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like wood burning, where you can like burn stuff on like a messages onto woods or plaques or whatever else matter. All these are really cool, like amazing technology based stuff. And he's our student advisor, and he kind of connects us with different aspects of administration. So it's thanks to him that we were able to rent out, quote unquote, the innovation studio, which was that space that I was talking about before, with the VR lab and everything else that matter. And then through that, we've been trying to, be in talks with athletics, and we've tried to be in talks with admissions. We tried to be in talks with, it's not acceleration. It's, I can't remember the exact name, but it was another admin group. We're trying to always talk with different aspects of admin, and we're always kind of told the same thing of, we're excited and we would love to know more about esports. Keep us in mind, but as of right now, we cannot do anything.
Wonderful answer. Really helpful.
Yeah. And so it's a slow progress. It's something that every single time there's going to be a door shut necessarily. And we're just trying to find the one door that will stay open, or at least help us connect to other doors necessarily. We're hopeful, but about the next perspective that we're trying to talk with the Alumni Association, because we're U of I. We have to have, alumni that would be interested in helping us out with the program, whether that's donating for goods or the like from that, whether that's connecting us with other sponsors or something else that matter, whether that's just being able to be our big person that we can sit on the shoulder of to help us through the door of administration. That would be the one amazing we would love is, if we can just find a space and show the growth and show the technology and show like what we are able, because we're competing and winning at national level type championships, basically. And the best that we can get sometimes is like a retweet. And it's like, okay, we'd love a little bit more than that.
Right.
But,
if this was football or basketball, we'd be seeing like something every 5 minutes, but.
I'm not saying anything bad about the university, but spending $1 million on a coach and then 3 years later just having to fire that coach to find a new one.
Hey. He had a successful track record with the Bears. Successful is a rough term, but
sure. But $1 million for esports would have been, oh my god, dude. If I can get
do you know what you could have done with $1 million? Do you know what you would have done with $1 million?
I don't know if I could spend $1 million.
No, but if given the time, I could find a way to. Because
I could. You could. Just.
We talk about how esports, whenever we're given the space, esports is a liquid. We will fill whatever space that we. So if you give us a 50 room, a computer lab of 12 setups, we will fill that, and if not, over brim it. You give us a lab space that has 50, we will fill that, if not over brim it. So we're just waiting for the opportunity or chance, because I was just talking with somebody else that's doing an esports survey that they are saying by year 3, a lot of esports programs are realizing that they have to now build a bigger space for their program. And it's without a doubt year 3, like the second it hits year 3 of their established program, varsity or whatever, they are trying to find bigger spaces immediately.
That was me. I only had 2 games last year, or I had 3 games last year, and they all ran different seasons, and it was like, oh, I have 12 setups. That's fine. I'll cover everything. And then now I'm like, I have 65 players, and I have no idea where to put them. But I can't use the lab anyway, so it's fine. But I know, like, some universities we've talked to so far, I know Illinois State and Wesleyan have both said, like, we're building bigger labs.
Yep.
We're making bigger spaces. This is a temporary home for us. We're making a bigger space.
Yep. Yeah, and we if if I can even get a space.
Right. Yeah.
But like I said, you should have just like a wish list ready to go the second some dean offers you money. It's like, here's the list.
We have a 5-year, well, we have a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan, and we're I'm always changing it because I feel like it can always, again, like we said before, it can just fill that space and it will continue further on after that. But it's always hard because we've been told at least 4 times now that administration moves at a snail's pace, and sometimes the snail moves faster. So there we go.
That's not a bad description.
That's not a
Having worked with admin run the solar car team in Illinois State, I am well aware that is very much how that works.
Right.
It is really weird meetings you have to go through. People who don't quite know what you're doing, but they're here to help, I guess. And they just make some very non-committal decision.
We've had an admin have their 12 or 13-year-old son sit in on our meeting because they were excited about Fortnite, and I was like, I'm fine with it,
but he doesn't really belong here. Yeah.
It was really interesting.
Hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It may be helpful, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bite the hand that feeds me. That's all I'm saying.
So are there any challenges with just working with a system as large as U of I? Because you're a really large school.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really hard and complicated because there's just so many aspects that like going into this year as a presidency, or like I said, the when I say this year, I mean 2020 to 2021.
We're all educators. We run on school year here.
Yeah, I know, but it's brain working. People just didn't do things the way that I thought that they would. We never had a fundraising, for example, like the biggest fundraising, like when we were selling pizzas, for example, like let's say we had a LAN, we would buy people pizzas. We would basically charge them the exact price to get the pizza. And I was like, dude, you can just add on $1, $2, just round it off. Like if it's $8, just make it 10. And like, it's not much, but like that will add up over time. And they were just not doing that. And I understand, like, obviously, yes, you want to be, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, aka your supporters, your students, your people. But people were not doing that. They didn't have an email address that was set up properly. They didn't have a storage space set up properly. They were paying to store data on an online cloud when Google Drive has a 15 gigabytes like thing. We didn't have a website. We didn't there were so many different things, and the list continues on. I mean, even in my presidency, like I can guarantee there were a lot of things that I was planning on doing that I have just not been able to do because there's just so much to get done. We didn't have a broadcasting team. Our social media, we didn't have a good social media person, really and truly. We had somebody that would only work on Instagram, for example, but not on Facebook or Twitter because they just didn't like Twitter. There's just so many different aspects behind it that it's like I said, you're putting out fires. You're really and truly, you're not running like an esports program. I mean, you're running an esports program, but you're just putting out fires. You're just dealing with issues and problems like from there. And there's always something that can be worked on or done, or a sponsorship deck that needs to be made, or emails that need to be sent out, or calendar invites that need to be done. So I mean, there's so many different, I wish I could give a better answer. There are a lot of challenges, and it's a slow crawl is the best way to describe it.
I've gotten 3 emails during this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it works perfect, AJ, that you're like a business major or like an esports major, right?
No, so I'm food science actually.
Yeah,
I am a. Oh yeah,
that was the joke. That was the joke.
Sorry.
You were so serious, like, oh no, no.
I mean, it's a thing that we've been seeing crop up a lot online. We have some other people on Twitter who talked about like esports majors aren't really worth it, and you can genuinely get into this with any major you want as long as you care.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, esports classes are definitely fun and worthwhile, I would say, but like I don't think that there needs to be an esports degree per se, unless you wanted to do like a minor, and even then, it's just kind of like whatever.
The only way I can see a real true esports degree becoming useful is broadcasting. Like specifically to online broadcasting, because it is a weird landscape.
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree with that as well, because it definitely is a completely different aspect. I mean, we have one of our broadcasting people did like high school football and knew how to do the camera and do the technical directing for that. And then when I started showing her OBS and stuff like that, she was like, "Okay, I can learn this, but I need to take the winter break and learn it." And I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. Like it's no big deal." But she thought when we said broadcasting, she thought it was going to be like something completely different.
Yeah.
OBS. The first time I opened that, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. Quick, YouTube, what are you?
It's very intimidating.
Yeah, no, I remember the first time I opened up OBS, I had watched like 4 videos, like half an hour long videos, tutorials, read so many documents, and I'm like, oh, I think I got it. And after like, it was probably like 2 or 3 streams, and I had it going, and just minor tweaks since then. Like I knock on wood, I haven't even tweaked my settings in probably like 5 years because I haven't. That's how old my computer is, and I haven't had to swap.
Andy help me make settings, and I have not touched them since.
Yeah, once
I'm
it
like,
works, you don't touch anything unless I tell you to touch something. Then you can touch it.
I'm afraid to change OBS settings because something's gonna break, and it's gonna be my fault now.
Yep, you're gonna lose your stream key. You don't know how you did it, but you lost your stream key, and then it's just you're done.
It's such a mess. But it's really good to hear you guys have this giant program. And how would students be able to join your program if they are, for example, we have some people who are seniors in our district. Geez, people who are seniors in our league who are probably committed to you already. How would they get in contact with you guys and find you guys?
Right, so I'll post our social media in the chats. These are everything that you can find us on. Like I said,
Facebook. Whoa, you're old.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we were here like 6 years ago, but a lot of the times, at least for Facebook, it's all of the parents or we always get a lot of messages, like DMs on Facebook.
I literally just got one today for the first time in like 2 years, and I'm like, what is this? Oh wait, that's a Facebook message.
It's pretty crazy, honestly. So Twitter is probably our most active, and then besides Discord is the easiest way to get in contact with us, whatever. And then there's also, I'll post this as well, but at esports.illinois.edu, this is our official, official quote unquote website. This has all of our information on there. We try to keep active and updated with that, but that still is a work in progress, basically. But anything that you need major for announcements is going to be through that Discord. Because when you go onto there and you select your role, then you'll automatically be able to get the info channels for each one of those things. So if you like Overwatch, for example, then you'll get the Overwatch role. You'll get Overwatch as a channel and Overwatch info and the pickup games and all those other whatever is associated. And then when they ping the Overwatch role, you'll be able to get that stuff. So, for example, if they were hosting competitive tryouts for Overwatch, then they will ping, "Hey, Overwatch, if you want to compete, please fill out this form," and it'll ask for your SR and your previous ranks, roles, and blah blah blah. So that all that information is on there. If anything, you can always feel free to send us a Twitter DM, send us a Facebook DM. I look at almost every single one of them, or at least am notified about every single one of them. So feel free to do that. So
you're committing to a response that I don't think you want to commit to.
I mean, if I'm not going to answer it, somebody will. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, that's kind of like my thing. It's like I see them. I don't always respond to them because, just like you probably get tons of people like, oh, hey, we have this going on. And it's like, no, move on next. Like
hey, you respond to mine.
But yeah, no, I definitely, it's awesome that you guys have all of these different places. Yeah. Keith makes fun of you for Facebook, but Facebook still is used by way too many people.
It's where the entire slower car community lives. It's only on Facebook because everyone just posts project pictures, and every team had a Facebook from like 10 years ago. So I followed a crap load of solar car teams around the world. My Facebook has literally no one I know on anymore. It's just all solar car.
It's just all solar car. That's funny. Is there anything else you want to plug, AJ, coming up in the near future? Anything do you guys stream often or?
Yeah, so we've just started up our broadcasting literally back at the beginning of December. So we're going to be streaming more on our twitch.tv/Illini_esports.
You want to drop that in the chat?
Just look, I'll drop it like once I get figuring it out which one it is, unfortunately, because there's 2 that we made, one from old times, one from new. You'll be able to tell. Just go on our Discord. You'll be able to go to our Twitter. You'll be able to find it. It's whatever's linked there. But basically, like, we're going to be streaming more from those aspects. We are also going to be having a panel coming up soon. It is going to be through Zoom invite. The idea of the panel is basically an introduction to what exactly is going on at U of I in terms of esports. It's going to be an hour-long Zoom invite. You're going to be able to see it soon. It's going to be a February 3rd from 11 a.m. Or wait, sorry, that is not that. My apologies. Finding the right one. Oh, sorry, it is February 11th, Thursday, February 11th from 12 to 1. You should be able to find it pretty easily. I don't think I can post this Zoom meeting IRL, unfortunately. But otherwise, if you can't find it, just go onto the Discord and message me, Sync Ships. I am right at the top of the Discord. And I will get you the Zoom invite in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, if you can DM that to me on Discord, I'll throw it in our recruiting channel. That way, if anyone's curious after this, they can get it. Yeah,
I can definitely do that. But yeah, that's all I've pretty much got. Otherwise, just check us out. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/iSyncShips. It's the same thing as Sync Ships, but with an I in front of it. Or you can just go to Illini Esports, and you probably easily be able to find me from there as well. So.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you very much for being on tonight. It was good to hear about what was going on. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go because we've had a couple of different organizations on so far, and it's it's hit or miss on how well organized they are and how far they are in the process, and whether they're varsity or not. But I think you guys really have a great program going there, and especially that it's all student run, and you guys are doing a great job winning championships and getting recognition where it needs to be given.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and no matter what, to get some sort of recognition from outside sources and the like from there, we always love to be able to see and talk with new people. So if you guys ever need anything from us, and then that goes to anybody out there and watching this or listening to this later on, if you ever need anything that we could be able to help out, just feel free to message us because we will try our best to make sure that we can help you in whatever way we can.
Sounds great. Thank you guys very much. With that, we are out for the night. Have a good night. We will see you next week. Oh, actually, we have Valorant this weekend. What time do we know, first stream?
We're going to be only showing the semis.
Okay.
So we're showing a semi at 4 p.m. and a semi at 7 p.m. on Saturday. And then next Saturday is the finals, which will be at 1 p.m. for varsity. And we're currently in discussions to stream the JV finals. I got to figure that out still. But it'll be some good matches, I hope. Yoro will be enabled only for the finals, which is going to be interesting.
Oh.
Because it's a 2-week rule, so it's going to be the first time we're seeing Yoro in our play is the finals. And then Split just got overhauled, so we'll see that this weekend.
All right, well, sounds good. We will see everyone else next week.